Yeah, I mostly started the team. I had an idea in mind, I guess, of what I wanted in terms of tanks and supports. And I just kind of started building off of that. I wound up going to FNRGFE's tanks at the beginning, and I started looking at other supports, but it wound up in a situation where I wanted their supports anyway because they were also the best at the time, I thought, in North America as well. The team, I mostly tried to keep Western. That was on purpose, and that was more of a stylistic approach that I think was missing from the league, and I wanted to be like that team, you know, the marketable Western team that doesn't have any Koreans, which actually we wanted Koreans at some point, but due to conflicts or, you know, contractual stuff, we couldn't actually get some. Everyone on this team is like super in tune with each other, and I think that that's something that's lacking in a lot of esports. I think most players or analysts will say that Korea is ahead of the West, and I think a lot of that has to do with mentality, and I think a lot of the mentality problems stem from like individuals not being able to gel well with their teammates, more so than just stylistic or nationality, or I don't know what the word is, like cultural differences between Korea and the West. I think it's mostly just some people just can't play nice with others, and that was something that I really wanted to tackle here and just try to put all the best personalities that I could together to work together to create something huge that I don't think any other team in the West could really accomplish. Initially when Overwatch launched, I think Overwatch League was already a thought, and they were trying to push it pretty hard on the players, at least from day one, but it kind of took a while to get started. I think a lot of roadblocks were hit, visas, legal stuff that couldn't happen. And so the Overwatch Pro scene kind of devolved and had a really rough time from the game's launch up until now, pretty much. There's only been one LAN, I think, in the past year, maybe two if you consider contenders, but that's also a Blizzard-made tournament. So there weren't a lot of places for players to play. There weren't a lot of teams that could say that they had LAN experience. Most players in Overwatch League have probably only played one, maybe two LANs most in Overwatch. And I think that that's something that's beneficial to some and also probably detrimental to some of the teams, just because you wind up in a spot where you don't know how players are going to react to the pressure of the stage, the lights, the fans, all this stuff that they should have been growing on. And Overwatch definitely felt like it had a slow moment, but I think it was all on purpose. I think Blizzard purposefully wanted Overwatch to like kind of slow down so that they could ramp it up at their speed, at their pace, with everything that they wanted, with all these orgs, these huge price tags, all these players, all in the same place, playing LANs every week. And I think that that's something that was bold. Maybe it was crazy, but if it works out, it'll probably be the biggest change in esports that we'll probably ever see. So when Overwatch League was announced, they said each team could pick up to 12 people. And they actually wanted most teams to pick up 12 players, but I think that there was definitely a split in terms of whether or not you wanted two full rosters or one single core roster, and then maybe some pieces that you could switch in and out. And so for the Overwatch League team, we have 10 players. Obviously only 6 can be playing at a time, but the schedule is actually pretty aggressive. And I think once people realize how many games are going to be played and just how many days of the week they have to play matches or practice or, you know, just be committed to this, there's going to be a lot of time, I think, where one player or two players just isn't in the mood or they're just burnt. And I think burnout is something that happens a lot more in Overwatch, at least in the past year, than I've seen in most other games, where players just, for whatever reason, feel like they're playing too much or they're just not enjoying it for different reasons, whether it's ladder or, you know, just having a rough time at the time. So as long as you have enough really good players that can all pick up the slack when other people need to step down, I think that that's a very important piece of the puzzle, if you will, that people haven't really figured out. I think a few teams have ran subs pretty efficiently in terms of just, oh, I want this player for this map, or I want this certain composition for this certain game mode. And if you have players that are at the best on each of their positions, you can make some really good compositions that maybe wouldn't be possible with just your 6. A lot of players are very good at hit scan. Some players are really bad at hit scan, but maybe you need the players that can't play hit scan at different times. So if you have enough players that can play enough different heroes, you can make a lot of really good compositions that I think actually haven't been tried or even seen in Overwatch yet, just because of the restrictions on the individuals themselves. Yeah, I mean, this Outlaws team is new. And I say new, but most of the team that I picked them from, this FNRGFE roster, they weren't sponsored. They didn't really have a huge coaching infrastructure. Their schedule was kind of lax. They played when they could, and they played from home. And a lot of the other players were on teams, maybe successful teams or unsuccessful teams in their own way, but every single one of them, I think, has potential to be the best at whatever they're doing. And I think that the mindset, the shared like groupthink mindset that they all can get away with in their own way to make each other better, to be harsh on each other, but also respectful, and also just their ability to teach is something that is missing in other teams, I think. And I think if you put enough smart people in the same room, you can make a lot of really good things happen. And that was kind of the philosophy that I went with on this team, is that if you have enough educated, you know, sophisticated, intelligent human beings, that they can make a really great team. But I see this team at the top at the end of the day. I don't think anybody can really talk negatively about the skill of any player on this team. I think they've all proven that they're worth. I think that every single one of them has potential to be bigger than they ever were, and I think that that's something that's really good. As long as you can maintain the egos, as long as you can hold everyone down, keep everyone in line, and make sure that they're all functioning properly, I think that that's how you create successful esports teams. But I also think it's a task that not a lot of people can handle. And that's kind of my goal here is, create this team, make them as good as they can be as individuals, but also as great as they can be as a team. And as long as everyone's on the same page, I don't think there's any end to the success of this org.